It didn't start with chaos or alarms. It started with quiet. Airports fell silent as departure boards stopped updating mid-screen. Highways faded as headlights vanished into walls of blowing snow. Cities known for never slowing down suddenly froze in place, locked by brutal cold and whiteout conditions. Across Europe and the UK, daily life didn't pause because of war or power failure. It stalled because winter pushed harder than the systems were designed to handle. This was the moment when everything cracked at once. As a massive winter storm tightened its grip, snow didn't just fall. It erased lines, routes, and routines. Trains halted wherever they were. Planes sat trapped on icy runways. Ambulances and fire trucks crept through streets that had turned into sheets of glass. In just a few hours, one of the most connected regions on Earth was broken into small, isolated pockets, each one trying to cope on its own. Millions stayed indoors, hoping to wait it out. But outside, the storm quietly began taking lives. At least 6 people died, not in headline-grabbing disasters, but in ordinary moments. On roads that looked safe but weren't. Under snow-heavy trees that gave no warning before collapsing. In freezing spaces where help simply couldn't arrive fast enough. The most dangerous part was what you couldn't see. Black ice looked like dry pavement. Cold crept in slowly, minute by minute, draining heat from homes, vehicles, and bodies without announcing itself. This wasn't just bad weather. It was a full-scale stress test. A test that revealed how fragile modern life can be when extreme cold hits at the wrong time, in the wrong place with no easy way out. Schools shut down for days. Entire communities were cut off. And for a brief moment, the illusion of control disappeared, replaced by a simple truth. When nature turns severe, even the most advanced systems are only one storm away from stopping completely. Airports turned into temporary shelters. Emergency crews worked around the clock, yet still couldn't catch up as the storm refused to loosen its grip. Meteorologists made one thing clear: this wasn't a one-off event. It was a pattern, a deep freeze colliding with powerful winds, creating blizzard conditions that could stretch on for days. And as Europe and the UK braced for what came next, one question rose above everything else. When winter brings an entire continent to its knees, how ready are we for what follows? The first systems to break were the ones people trust the most. Transportation, the backbone of modern life, quickly became the weakest link. As temperatures plunged and snowfall intensified, airports across Europe and the United Kingdom shifted into survival mode. Runways vanished under thick layers of ice. Aircraft systems froze. Ground crews fought the clock in conditions where even short exposure could turn dangerous. Flight cancellations piled up by the hundreds. Major terminals became holding zones, packed with passengers wrapped in coats and blankets, unsure when, or if, they'd be moving again. Then the rail networks began to fail. Track switches iced over. Signals stopped responding. Snow drifted back onto cleared lines faster than crews could remove it. High-speed rail shut down completely, while regional services slowly collapsed under frozen infrastructure. What usually takes years to break down unraveled in a matter of hours. Roads offered no escape. Highways turned into glassy sheets of ice, forcing authorities to shut down major routes and urge drivers to stay off the roads entirely. In some areas, even ambulances and fire trucks couldn't get through, pushing emergency response times into dangerous territory. The problem wasn't just how much snow fell, it was how long the cold lasted. Temperatures hovering near -10 degrees Celsius, combined with relentless wind, made recovery impossible between storms. Equipment froze overnight. Roads cleared during the day refroze by morning. Every attempt to restore normal operations was wiped out before it could take hold. And that's when the failures began to cascade. When airports shut down, rail systems backed up. When trains stopped, roads became overwhelmed. And once movement failed, everything else followed. One frozen link at a time, an entire continent slowed, then stopped. When roads shut down, crews couldn't even reach the places that needed help the most. And that exposed a hard truth. Modern infrastructure is designed for efficiency, not endurance. It works beautifully in normal conditions, but extreme cold removes every margin for error. Once those margins disappear, even the most advanced systems can grind to a stop, leaving millions simply waiting for winter to ease its grip. As movement came to a halt, danger shifted away from highways and into places people believed were safe. Winter storms don't always kill with drama. They kill quietly in moments that feel ordinary until they aren't. Black ice blended perfectly into pavement, catching drivers off guard on trips that should have taken minutes. One small mistake, one misjudged turn, was enough to send a car sliding out of control, turning a routine drive into a deadly situation. Above ground, the weight of snow created threats few people think about until it's too late. Trees bent under the pressure. Branches cracked without warning. In residential neighborhoods, parked cars, sidewalks, even front doors became danger zones. A single falling limb could be fatal, a reminder that in extreme cold, gravity and ice become unpredictable enemies. Staying indoors wasn't always safe either. Prolonged freezing pushed heating systems to their limits. And when heat failed, even briefly, it became a serious medical risk, especially for older adults and people with chronic conditions. Isolation made everything worse. In rural areas and snowbound towns, ambulances struggled to reach patients. Calls that would normally be routine turned into races against time, with minutes stretching into hours. Health agencies warned that cold-related deaths often don't show up immediately in statistics. They happen quietly, as bodies lose heat and stress overwhelm systems that were already fragile. The storm also tested human judgment. Many people underestimated the cold, stepping outside without proper protection or attempting short drives that ended in stranded vehicles. Emergency responders urged residents to stay put, conserve energy, and check on neighbors. But following that advice depended on awareness and resources not everyone had. This phase of the crisis revealed a harsh reality. Extreme winter weather doesn't just attack infrastructure. It targets the small, everyday decisions people make. And in a deep freeze, even minor mistakes can carry irreversible consequences. With travel paralyzed and dangers increasing by the hour, the crisis moved into its most punishing stage: waiting. Being trapped became the defining experience of the storm. Airports turned into makeshift shelters. Travelers slept on hard floors under flickering lights, wrapped in jackets and thin blankets meant for short walks, not nights spent waiting for rescue or relief. Announcements offered little certainty. Flights were delayed, then canceled, then rescheduled, only to be canceled again as ice reformed and crews ran out of safe windows to operate. Outside the terminals, entire communities faced the same uncertainty. In snowbound towns, streets disappeared under wind-hardened drifts, cutting off access to grocery stores, pharmacies, and medical care. Deliveries stopped. Public transportation shut down. For families, the question wasn't when life would return to normal. It was how long basic supplies would last if the cold refused to break. Parents scrambled to arrange childcare as schools stayed closed day after day. Workers who couldn't commute weighed lost income against the risk of attempting dangerous journeys. Emergency services felt the strain most of all. Snow slowed response times to a crawl, forcing crews to prioritize only the most critical calls, knowing they couldn't reach everyone who needed help. In some areas, residents were told to rely on each other. Neighbors shoveled shared paths. People checked on elderly residents. Heat, food, and resources were shared, because official help might take hours or days to arrive. Community resilience became a lifeline. Psychologically, the storm left its mark. The silence of empty roads, the constant cold, and the absence of clear timelines fueled anxiety that spread almost as fast as the snow itself. Each weather update brought new warnings, but few reassurances. Even when snowfall slowed, the freeze held firm, locking everything in place. This was no longer just about surviving a storm. It was about enduring uncertainty, waiting for movement, warmth, and connection to return, while winter pressed down with relentless force. As the days dragged on, emergency response shifted from rapid reaction to long-term survival. Authorities across the United Kingdom and Europe activated coordinated crisis plans, but extreme cold proved to be a relentless opponent. Snowplows and de-icing crews worked non-stop, yet much of their progress vanished overnight as temperatures stayed well below freezing. Roads cleared in the evening were sealed in ice again by morning. Rail lines briefly reopened, only to shut down when switches froze solid once more. Recovery became a cycle of push forward, then fall back. For first responders, exhaustion set in quickly. Long shifts in brutal wind chills drained energy and slowed every operation. Equipment failed more often. Vehicles struggled to start. Even basic tasks took twice as long in temperatures hovering near -10 degrees. Emergency managers warned that winter storms are uniquely dangerous because they attack both people and the tools meant to protect them. Unlike floods or hurricanes, cold doesn't pause. It never gives responders a real break. Public health systems came under growing strain. Hospitals prepared for spikes in falls, hypothermia, and cold-related complications. Home care workers faced dangerous travel just to reach elderly and medically fragile patients. Officials repeatedly urged residents to avoid unnecessary travel, conserve heat, and lean on community support whenever possible. In many neighborhoods, neighbors became the first line of defense. People checked on each other, shared food and supplies, cleared narrow paths through the snow so someone could reach help if needed. The storm also forced difficult choices. Limited resources meant prioritizing the most critical needs, leaving some communities waiting longer than anyone wanted. Rural and remote areas felt this strain most sharply, reinforcing long-standing concerns about access, isolation, and resilience during extreme weather. What became clear was this: managing a winter crisis isn't about one dramatic moment. It's about endurance, holding systems, communities, and people together long enough for the cold to finally let go. Lives were lost. Communities were cut off. Entire systems were pushed beyond their limits. And this didn't happen in some distant past. It happened now, in a world we like to believe is fully prepared for anything. This blizzard was more than a weather event. It was a warning, a reminder of how fragile modern life can become when extreme cold takes hold and refuses to let go. For many people, the storm forced a hard realization. Preparedness isn't just a government responsibility. It's personal. It's knowing how long you could stay warm if the power went out. It's thinking about how you'd help a neighbor who couldn't leave their home. It's understanding how quickly everyday routines can disappear. These are uncomfortable questions. But as winter extremes grow stronger and more unpredictable, they matter more than ever. If this story helped you understand the real scale of what happened, take a moment to hit the like button. It helps this video reach more people who care about extreme weather safety and preparedness. Share this video with friends or family, especially anyone living in areas vulnerable to severe winter storms. Awareness saves time, and time can save lives. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think cities and infrastructure today are truly ready for prolonged extreme cold? Have you ever lived through a blizzard that completely shut down your community? What lessons do you think should be learned from this winter crisis? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found the analysis in this video valuable, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Share this report with friends, family members, and loved ones. And if this video helped you see the bigger picture, please hit the like button. It helps us beat the algorithm and ensures this message reaches more people who need to hear it. Thanks for watching, and stay safe.